Hello everyone, Justin here on Bench Addict. Video number one here. I'm going to go over some tools. Been doing a lot of measuring, primers and primer pockets. Those of you that have followed me on Patreon know that, and I've promised to get some videos out. And so we're going to take a deep dive here on well, I don't know if I should say deep dive, but we're going to go over some tools and what I use, how I use them, and some of the options for those tools. So I think starting out, there was I know one of the patrons wanted to see, I had questions about the indicator that I use on some primers I was measuring and data logging, and that piece of equipment is this right here, and this indicator here is a Mitutoyo, measures out to 1/10,000th of an inch, and first of all I want to say, because I've gotten a little bit of, I don't know, criticism from some members on some forums about my measurements, because I measure in 10,000ths, that I don't know, they think I'm an overdoer or something because of that. Oh, well, it's what my gauge reads, you know. I mean, I guess I could take a number off the end and if it makes them happy, but you know, that's not why if that were the case, I could save myself a lot of money and just buy you know, 1,000th graduations, an indicator. But you know, we measure everything in thousandths, so when we seed a primer into a casing, and you know, our primer seeder, you know, I use this Primal Rights here, and the adjustment here is in 1,000th of an inch clicks. So I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna, I don't even know, you're really not gonna do things between clicks, and I still want to measure in 10,000ths, even though I'm really measuring in thousandths. I know it sounds confusing, but I want to know where I'm at between 1,000th and 2,000ths, or 8 and 9, whatever it be. I want to know how close to that exact 1,000th that I am. And, you know, that's what I use the 10,000ths for. And you know, when you're measuring in 1,000, well, I guess here's an indicator. And well, it's a poor example because this one does half thousandths, but you know, that whole space between each hash mark on the gauge, you know, how, if you're just a smidge over the mark or under, but you're touching, you know, I want to know exactly where it is. That's just how I do things. So going back to this gauge now, I want to answer a question on data logging. So with the Mitutoyo, this Absolute Digimatic, they sell this kit. And so, well, let me fix that. Okay, they sell this kit. So you get this box here with the button on it. On one end of the box, you have a micro USB port, and on the other, you just have the little banana jack plug there. It looks like a headphone kind of style plug. And so you get this one cord, which you have the micro USB on the one end and regular USB on the other. Obviously, it goes from the box to your computer. And I'll just plug that together quick. Plug it into my computer. Okay. Now, this is a separate purchase. So this cord here, you have this plug that goes into the end of the box, and this cord here, which you see is kind of a rectangular shaped plug. Only it's got the prongs on the one side and not on the other, so pay attention to which way you plug it in or it's not going to work. That will plug right into the top of the gauge here. There's a little rubber boot that I pulled out of the top here. It's just a little dust cover. And I'll plug this into the box. I'll plug this into my gauge. Now I'm going to, first thing is I'm going to lower this gauge down to touch the surface plate. And right at about touch there. And the rest of it, I have a little adjuster wheel I can raise and lower, fine adjustment. So right there I'm touching. And then I'm going to snug this bottom screw up now that I'm all set. And I'm going to zero the gauge. This blue button here says origin. I press and hold that to 0. So now I'm zeroed. I'm going to take primer out of this box, or 3. Put them legs down. So when you look at the bottom of the primer, this is the bottom. And turn it over. Here's the top. I want to set it so that the legs are face down. The top of the primer is facing up. I lift up my gauge here. I set this right down on there. And here's my measurement. 127.5 thousandths, or 0.1275. Now, I will turn on my computer screen here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but I've got the blue box in my hand here. If you can see at the top of the screen where the square is highlighted, when I click this button, there, and to wake the computer up, I guess. So anyways, it moved a little bit when I fidgeted. We were at 1275 and it moved to 1277, and we're talking 2 10,000ths of an inch that it changed, and that's just, that's just for me pulling the plug out and sticking it back into the gauge. I'll grab a different primer here. I'll stick it under there, and my indicator is giving me, make sure I get it centered under there. Now I'm at 1283. Click the button, there it is, 1283. And we just keep going through them that way. Now, to make that easier and go even faster than that, Mitutoyo sells a foot switch, like so. And there's that plug I was telling you about. It's like a headphone plug. That goes right into this box where the micro USB plugged in. That plugs into there. Now I can set this foot switch on the floor, and I'll stick another primer under there and click the pedal. There it is, 1272 on the screen. And you can really go through some measurements pretty quick once you get the foot switch and you're not fumbling around for the box and the button, picking it up and down. Now my hands are completely free to sit here and go through a bunch. Now conveniently, this doesn't come with the gauge, this post here. When you get this Mitutoyo, it's going to come with the standard, here it is, ball tip, which is like this. Oh, I can get a focus here. There it is. So you see there's a little like BB on the end of there, a round ball, which is great for a lot of things. For primers, I want a flat, and they call this a needle tip. This, it's got a disc on the bottom there that's the same diameter as the primer. That's a 5mm for a large primer, and then I have 4mm for small. This is the other gauge that I used. This is the Primal Rights Primeware, and with this I can check both. I can use it for measuring primer pockets. So this has different size discs that you can get. Here's, if I can hold them up, numbers 1, 2, and 3. You can see the holes progressively get bigger. So I use, this one is for like your 223 Remington size case head, or bolt face. This is good for 308 size bolt face, and this is Magnum. They have about 4 more sizes. I think they go up to number 7. So I'll put the number 2 on there for 308. Here's 308 case. Lapua. This pocket's already been. We'll check to 0 the gauge, and I like to use this disc. It's just easier. The gauge is already on 0. You can use these rings that they come with, and you just use the flat part of the ring and set it over. Yeah, you can. I know it's small in this picture, but you can see the tip of the indicator sticking up right here at the tip of my finger. And you just take this disc and push that down flat. I've got 0. So gauge is 0. Take the case, stick it on there. 1320 is my measurement, or 132 thousandths even. There's an app for this gauge. That's called Electronic Indicator. You can get from the Google Play Store. It works on Android and iOS, I believe. I'm an Android user. I don't use any Apple products, so I can't speak of any experience on Apple. This is a great gauge. I'm really happy with this. You can't beat it. Expensive, yes, but so this has Bluetooth capability, and that's how it works with the phone app. So when you put the app on your phone, you can either, when you put your gauge on here and it gives you your reading, you can either push this button right here. It says data, and that'll send the reading over to a data log, or on the screen of your phone, there's you can tap the log data button and log it that way too. You can go either way. So this gauge here is my most accurate gauge, well, digital indicator. This Mitutoyo I'm really happy with, though, I have to say. This is dedicated for measuring primer pockets, and then you can also measure primers with it as well. I don't really particularly enjoy measuring primers on here because I have to stand it on the tip of the post there without knocking it off, and then use another tool to push the primer down in there. This primer is 128.5 thousandths tall, overall height on that. And I can sit there and data log that way, but much faster doing it with the Mitutoyo surface plate. But this is kind of what I use for a standard of checking other gauges. For accuracy, I tend to go off of this. So moving on to the next thing. I don't think there's really much else to cover on that. For measuring primer cups, which You'll start seeing that more on Discord. I'll be measuring those. You have to measure between the legs, and it is not a very fun job. One thing I did want to include about this gauge. Now, this is not a Mitutoyo. This is an eye gauging blade mic. It is a speed mic. You can find that right on Amazon. Eye gauging, origin, speed mic, blade mic, whatever. It's a 0 to 1 accuracy, or well, resolution on this is a half of a tenth of a thousandth. You can process that. I don't really measure that small, but that's how the gauge comes. So conveniently, if you happen to have the cord for the Mitutoyo, I just learned this just by trial, because I saw that the data port on this is the same style as what's on Mitutoyo. So I tried it, and lo and behold, it plugs right in. Here's my screen again. Click on the box, make sure, hit the refresh or whatever. I'm going to take one of these primers. Now this mic here, instead of, this doesn't spin on the end like most mics. This doesn't turn at all. Well, you don't want to turn it. This just has a lever that you push, and it opens and closes. So very quick that way. So we'll stick one primer in there. All right, so 115 thousandths, or if you want to go smaller, 1157. So that cup height is 115 thousandths and 7/10. And if I want to data log that, I click the pedal, and there it is on the screen. Eye gauging has their own data cord. Theirs comes with both cords, so you get the entire setup. You get the cord for the gauge, the box, the cord that goes to the computer, all one bundle. I think yeah, it's definitely is cheaper that way with the eye gauging than the Mitutoyo, but learning lesson, I guess. I didn't know that the cord would work on both brands. That was just by luck, or not luck, I'm not sure, since I bought both. Anyways, the other thing I use this gauge for is measuring case head diameter. As you fire a case, so when you shoot and you want to see how much expansion you're getting in the case head, you want to measure right at the edge of that groove. So right where that angled cut comes out and the side of the case, where those two angles come together, that's where you want to measure. That is where it's solid brass all the way across, except for the flash hole that's in the center. And you don't want to see more than 1,000th expansion on this. And that's where you really need to be able to measure in 10,000ths of an inch, or even better. This case here is virgin, so I'm at 468 thousandths and 8/10. And so what you would do is, take a few, record a few. If you got the cord and everything, it's nice and easy to record. You just tap the button, check the next one, hit the foot switch, and record what your diameters were. And after you get done shooting and you go and recheck them, you'll know if your load is too hot, if you're getting too much expansion. So this is a very, very great gauge to have. Let's see what else. Unplug this. So I wanted to cover this. This here is from Accuracy One Shooting Supplies. This is their precision primer gauge, and this was the first gauge that I bought for measuring primer pockets. The Primal Rights was an afterthought, well, long after, a couple of years, several years, matter of fact. But this is a nice kit. So, you know, it comes in a nice case that you saw. You know, pull the lid off. You know, everything's all nice. You know, laser cut foam. And normally your spare battery can go there. These are your zeroing blocks. Small, large primer plunger. The small one for the small primers is in there right now, and you only get one tool body, so this is a separate purchase for the extra one. And the difference is, you look in the bottom of this and you see the grooves. That is for your different size case heads. So, you know, you got, I don't know, 1, 2, 3. So 3 different size case heads that this will do. And 1, 2, 3. Same thing with this one, 3. But you can see they are not the same size. And they're also, it's also kind of indicated by the grooves on the sides here. This has got a single groove, this is a double groove. We'll take this and zero it for 308. Put my zeroing block in there. Hit my 0 button. Whoops. So we take our gauge body, we take our plunger. It does go in a certain way. You notice on the bottom, it's nice and flat. Flip it over on this side, it's got kind of a rounded pocket. This side goes towards the gauge. So pay attention to the orientation when you drop that in. That will just fall right down in there like so. Now you can see it sticking out the bottom. Take our gauge, stick it back in there, tighten the screw down on the side, take our zeroing block, push down on it, and we're going to zero the gauge. Button says 0 right above it. Very easy. Now the gauge is zeroed. Now when I measure my pockets, that little plunger reaches right down to the very bottom of the pocket, and the top of the case head just rests into one of these grooves, and there we are, 130.5. Now this gauge reads in half thou, so no 1, 2, 3 10,000ths. It's either, you know, it's either 1 thou or 1.5 or 2 thousandths. You know, it's every half. Something I'll get into in a different video. There's some things with this gauge that I felt could use some improvement. So I'll go over what I found, how I fixed that, and made this gauge every bit as accurate as the much more expensive Primal Rights gauge. I won't say they're same accuracy. I don't think I'd dare make that claim. But now lastly is primer pocket uniformer. You see this as this is the K&M tool handle here, but this is not the K&M pocket uniformer. This 21st century uniformer, and if I can get that to focus, there it is. You can see the numbers and graduations in there, and right in this flat spot here there's a slash mark there, or hash mark, and that's your reference. This whole piece here with this knurl grip, this turns, rotates. You got a jam nut right here at the very bottom. So you loosen this jam nut, you can turn this, you can dial your cutting depth and then lock it down and cut your pocket to whatever depth that you want it at. Now, this is the kit that I had originally started with when I kind of stepped up here. I mean, when I started reloading, I started with a Lyman set, and then a few years later, I wanted something that was a lot nicer. I went with the K&M, and it's a really nice set. It says your chamfer tools in it. You got, it's got that little needle there, goes right into the flash hole, keeps your alignment nice and straight. And then there's a set screw down inside the handle. You can loosen, you loosen this screw on the side here, this little thumb wheel, and then turn a screw down in there to adjust, to push the cutter out or let it come back in, and really fine tune your chamfer that way. Really nice tool. Glad I bought that. Still use it. And then these are a bunch of different flash hole uniformers. What I really like about K&M's flash hole uniformers is, unlike most, I'm trying to think, I don't want to just use Lyman, but there's a few brands out there, and what they'll have is they have just the cutter on the end, no guard or anything, and you'll have that cone piece that slides up and down with a little set screw in the side, so you can adjust that as a stop, I guess. And but they just don't really work that well. So the way this one works is you can see there's a guard there. You can see the cutter. There it goes. So you can see where the cutter gets fatter at the bottom, and so that gets you your nice little chamfer there, and nothing excessive. So this will just drop, you just put this right down through there. You have that keeps it centered, keeps the tool nice and straight. I'll pinch my fingers on this and pull down to keep that nice and tight against the case mouth, and then just turn this, and you can feel when it's done cutting. You'll know. I usually cut, I'll pull the tool out, I'll knock some shavings out, I'll stick it back in, give it a couple more twists, and usually that's done. And on to the next case. The other cutters that are in here are just different sizes for different size flash holes. Your large rifle and small rifle and your pistol. They had different size flash holes. The K&M cutters, let's see, here's a large rifle. So here's the K&M large rifle cutter, and it's marked on the little cover here. This is actually, it's set for a cutting depth, so you can see this one's for 131 thousandths right there at the bottom of the cover right here. That one's preset at the factory for that cut depth. You can adjust it if you dare try. There's a little set screw on the side here, but I hope you got a lot of scrap cases to practice with and get it dialed in. before you use it on your good casings. That's why I went with the 21st century. I didn't want to wreck a bunch of brass playing around trying to get it right. And then if I got to change it, if I want to cut pocket on a different, you know, brand or caliber, and I'm going to use a different primers, and primers are different heights, so they got a different seating depth and crush. I just want to be able to dial that in and go, and not have to mess around. One other thing I wanted to mention on this 21st century is right now it's got the large primer pocket cutter in there. If you loosen this tool up, this cutter actually comes out. You flip it over and stick it back in, and then now you have small primer pocket cutter. So you get a two-in-one kind of deal on that. It's kind of nice. Don't think there's much else. Well, we'll include this and this last two things. Another option for data logging, for eye gauging, they have this smart, smart box. So this, I have not actually used this yet. This is brand new. I haven't gotten a chance to play with it yet, but what it does is, gotta find a gauge to put it in. We'll stick it in this one, my ball mic here. So it plugs in just like the other, like that Mitutoyo plug. It just sticks right into the top of the gauge here, like so, except with the way, the orientation of how it has to go into this gauge, the button is facing the wrong way, because you look down inside the port, you can see the contacts there. And so for this one, yeah, I would have to put it in this way with the button facing the wrong way, but that's not a big deal. You can still easily click it with your finger right here, and that'll send the readout digital or wirelessly right to your Microsoft Excel, or what was the other one? Google Sheets. So that's another option. But like I said, I haven't used this yet, so as far as getting it connected and being user friendly, I can't speak on that. The last thing is good calipers. I've had a slew of calipers. I do like the eye gauging for the price, for what they are, but I don't know, one night I was getting my sizing die dialed in, getting my shoulder bump, and the readings kept moving, and we're like, you know, we backed it off 1 thou and sized a case and pulled it out, measured, and it was a thou wrong, in the wrong direction. Like, well, I know I didn't turn the die the wrong way. How did that happen? And we got to, you know, I pulled my hair out. I was talking with a buddy, and we were kind of working on something together with that, and went and checked the caliper, and the caliper was lying to me. It was a digital caliper, and so at that point I said, yeah, that's I can't have that. So I got myself a good caliper, nice Mitutoyo Digimatic. My only caveat with this is that it does not. It is a absolute Digimatic, but it does not have a data port on it for a cord or wirelessly or nothing. So no data logging with this. But you know, not that I can't find one that will. So I think that's it for tonight. I'll do another video here possibly tomorrow. I want to discuss some of the findings on this Accuracy 1 primer pocket tool, and how to fix it, how to upgrade. If you already have it, you could save yourself a lot of money and get much finer accuracy out of it. So I will go over that hopefully tomorrow. Thanks for listening in, and I want to give a shout out to Brian Zolnikov from Witch Doctor for giving me a shout out on YouTube, helping things get kicked off on Patreon. Thanks again. Hope to see some new faces hopefully, and thank you for everyone that subscribes, and we'll see what I have next for you. Thanks.